The SNP has been branded an absolute disgrace by Scottish Tory politician Dean Lockhart for continuing to talk about independence in the midst of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. And Mr. Lockhart said instead of talking about ways to tear Scotland out of the UK, Nicola Sturgeon's party should instead be concentrating on its recovery. Mr. Lockhart, Scottish Conservative Shadow Cabinet Secretary for Constitution, Europe and External Affairs, was speaking after the national newspaper revealed the wording of a Plan B route to independence. The motion, which was drawn up by SNP MP Angus MacNeil and SNP councillor Chris McElhenney, will be debated by the SNP conference next month. If approved, it would instruct the Scottish Government to explore whether it could legally hold an independence referendum with the permission of Westminster. If such a move was not considered viable, the party's manifesto for next year's Holyrood elections would include a commitment to take a pro-independence majority of seats, in the absence of a referendum, as a mandate to begin independence negotiations with the UK government. However, Mr. Lockhart, a member of the Scottish Parliament for the Mid-Scotland and Fife, was unimpressed. He told Express, "It's an absolute disgrace that we're in the middle of a pandemic and the SNP keep talking up another divisive referendum. We need to be fully focused on recovering from the damage COVID-19 has caused, but the SNP's priority, as always, is independence." The motion to be presented to the SNP's conference states, "Conference calls on the Scottish Government to establish the legal competence of the Scottish Parliament holding a referendum on Scottish independence without the approval of the UK Parliament. Conference instructs that if a referendum on Scotland's future is denied by the UK government and the competence to hold a consultative referendum is not established, then the manifesto for the 2021 Scottish parliamentary elections shall state that the election of a pro-independence majority of seats, in the absence of a referendum, shall be a mandate from the people of Scotland to commence independence negotiations with the UK government. Current rules state that in order for a referendum to be held, the UK must grant what is known as a Section 30 order to the Scottish Government allowing it to pass laws normally reserved for Westminster, as happened in 2014 when then-leaders David Cameron and Alex Salmond signed the Edinburgh Agreement. But in December Prime Minister Boris Johnson told Mrs. Sturgeon he remains opposed to a second referendum and will not be granting such an order.